Are you thinking about completing a trophy cabinet project in Art Raiders for top rewards and a fun challenge? Ooh, done! Well, you can either fumble your way through it completely blind like I did, or you can first listen to my top tips as a certified loot goblin to potentially save yourself a bit of frustration and keep the focus on fun. The video is broken down into 6 quick sections, very briefly covering my general tips and what I did to complete the 5 pages of the project, along with some alternative ideas. I think Art Raiders is about the experience, so apart from 2 sections that I will put spoiler alerts in, I'm not going to tell you the fine detail of how you absolutely must complete the project in order to be as efficient as humanly possible. Instead, I would suggest saving this video and using it as a bit of a guiding hand for any pages of the project that you get particularly stuck on or lost. There's bookmarks for all the chapters, so feel free to skip through to the bits that you need at any particular time. General tips: PvE lobbies. So there's no way around this, whether you're a PvP player or a PvE player, PvE lobbies will be easier to complete this challenge. It largely revolves around scavenging for items, looting, killing arc, that kind of stuff. And so the less time you've got to worry about other people coming in third party and taking all your goodies, it will make it a little bit easier. I'm not saying you have to do it in PvE lobbies, but it's just a consideration. If you're in a PvP or a mixed lobby and you want to work your way into PvE lobbies, there's dedicated videos out there for that, but the short version is don't shoot anyone in 10 raids under any circumstances, and you should find yourself in friendly lobbies. Tip number 2. Understand the classifications of loot items on each page and use the maps to plan your raids. What I mean by this is, if you're looking for, let's say, rusted bolts, understand it's like a mechanical item, so don't go looking for medical areas if you need a mechanical item. Look at what maps are available at the time when you're playing, and pick a map that's suitable so that you can go into a particular area to find the thing you're after. Just be a little bit targeted in your looting rather than wandering around aimlessly. Quick follow on tip number 3 from that is consider doubling up gathering tasks. So what I mean is, on a page you might have 4 items, but 3 of them you can maybe do all on the one map and maybe even in one particular area. So have a little think about that when you're planning your raids. During the course of this project, there's going to be plenty of raids you're going to need to do. I did about 40 in total, so don't worry about, we're making this too efficient. If you can search 1, 2, or even 3 areas for like a multiple different things, it's just going to increase your chances of finding something on any given raid without wasting your time and coming back to base empty-handed. And the last tip for this section is going to be consider don't completing one page at a time. Now, when I started, I didn't know what the requirements were for each of the pages. It hadn't been released. That's now out there. I'm going to put those up on screen in a minute after a little plot spoiler warning. But essentially, if you don't want the ultimate challenge of blindly raiding and doing one page at a time, have a little look ahead, see what items you need, and start focusing on keeping those items and not getting rid of them. I was just having to stash all like random junk, like not knowing if they were going to be like on page 3 or 4. And if you can get a little look ahead, this will still be like a decent challenge for you and a decent fun thing to do, but it will just take out some of the grindiness. There's plenty of grind to this as it is. So if you want to do this in hard mode and you don't even want to know what all the items are for each of the 5 pages, then skip ahead to page 1 now. As these are going up on the screen, I will say just pay particular attention to when the Queen or Matriarch events are on. Those are time limited. There's no other way to get those other than in those events. So I would always just dip out from whatever you're doing at the time, and if those events are available, then just go in and have a little go at the Queen or the Matriarch to try and get those items. I'll talk a bit more about those on their relevant pages. Page 1, Roaming Threats. So we start off with some fairly basic stuff here. Pop triggers, tip pods, rusted bolts and surveyor bolts. So the pop triggers and tip pods are going to be very, very common items. You're going to come across those in all parts of the map, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going. But what I did here was I focused on Blue Gate. That was my personal choice. I went through the tunnel, and obviously when you're going through the tunnel in Blue Gate, there's a whole abundance of pops in there, as well as ticks in some of the little side alleys. And what you find is you don't even need to be first to it. There will still be the carcasses of these machines, these art machines, just lying around, and you can go and rinse them, like 1 or 2 raids done. Another very rich environment for pops and ticks is going to be Stellamontis. Obviously not everybody's cup of tea, that one, but that is another alternative, probably the most efficient way to do it. Talking about rusted bolts, I wish I'd have done these on Bluegate along when I was doing the pops and ticks. That comes to that, look out for more than 1 or 2 items at a time. I got those on Stellamontis in the shipping containers, in the little drawers for the shipping containers. But cars are another place you can find the rusted bolts. So the main highway and tunnel in Bluegate, and then also Berry City, as well as the car parks on Spaceport. And then potentially the most tricky one, you'll have all had fun trying to hunt down surveyors in the past, and you are going to need 5 surveyor vaults. So what I did for this, and what I would recommend for you, is pick a nice open map, either Bluegate or Spaceport, and what that allows you to do is have longer sight lines. So you're looking for the big blue beam of light up into the sky, and then you're just going to go beeline for that location, and that's your surveyor. Even easier to see if you've got a night mode available. You can get them with anything with decent arc armor penetration, so a ferro or an anvil, but I would suggest either one wolf pack will take a surveyor vault out if you're feeling a bit flush, or if you've got a hull cracker, I would recommend getting one of those because that's going to make later stages easier as well, but 3 hull cracker rounds will take a surveyor out. The last point to know about the surveyors is the surveyor vaults, the little round ball you're looking for, they can be found inside the pieces of armor that fall off the surveyor. So as you're shooting it and the bits of armor fall off, don't just worry about the core at the end. You don't even need to get to the core necessarily. Make sure you're searching all the bits of armor. As they fall off, they could carry the piece that you're looking for. Page 2, Soaring Menaces. So another nice easy common one to start off with is your Wasp drivers and your Hornet drivers. You're not going to be able to get across from one side of the map to the other without encountering dozens of these things. Instead of hiding from them or taking cover, just start taking them out basically. Start collecting those Wasp drivers, Hornet drivers. Hornet drivers are going to be slightly less common, so maybe focus on those. Wasp drivers, they're like 10 a penny. They're easy to get hold of. In terms of spotter relays, this is the spotters for the Bombardier. So the big arc Bombardier that launches artillery rounds, it has 2 little spotters that fly around and try and target the enemies. You need that, not snitches, not the little things that fly around on their own and then call in their arc reinforcements. You need the spotters for the Bombardier, and it's 10 of them. What you're looking for is a reliable Bombardier spawn. Personally, the most reliable one for me is going to be Buried City. There's 2 spawns on Buried City, either within sort of the residential area near the train station there, or outside the parking lot. That's the parking garage in the main park area. They're the 2 most reliable Bombardier spawns. And what I would recommend, take yourself a ferro or an anvil, just make sure you've got a suppressor on it. Get yourself in like a little cheeky hidden spot and then just take out these spotters without attracting attention to yourself. The spotter relays will spawn back in reasonably quickly. So with 2 spotter relays each go around, you can get this done 5 times inside of one raid, fairly easy. Just try and remain hidden, that's the main thing. And then the final one, I'm talking about this last because we're going to put in a little spoiler alert here, is the expired respirator. This is one where it's really important to understand the classification. I went on a wild goose chase looking in Buried City and Bluegate in the residential areas. This is a medical item. It's not a domestic item, it's a medical item. So you need to go to a medical area. So again, look on the map, look for medical areas, and then you can go hunting for your expired respirators. You only need 3, so not that difficult. What I will say is they're not all that common. So if you want to go do it yourself, skip forward to the next chapter now and have that fun adventure. If you want to know a guaranteed spawn that I found, then stay tuned and I'll let you know what that is now. Right, you still here? Okay. Arrival building on Spaceport. It's over on the northwest side of the map. If you come in on the ground floor through the main entrance and then head into the north wing of the building on the ground floor, there's a medical bay in there. There's a couple of like red lockers as well. They're not going to spawn in there, but if you do all the drawers in the medical area and look on all the beds as well, because it may just spawn out on the top as a loose item, and search all the containers in there, what I found was it was 100% spawn rate of getting at least 1 expired respirator per raid. So it may mean that you need to do 3 runs. I had to do 3 runs, but you can also be farming your Wasp drivers and your Hornet drivers on your runs through, so it's not wasted. Boshti. Page 3. Ferocious Foes. So you are going to be taking out the Leaper Pulse units out of Leapers and the Bastion cells out of Bastions. Now these are the pink items out of both of those large arc, but when you're hunting for those, you're also going to naturally accrue some arc performance steel. If by some miracle you've not got enough arc performance steel out of your Leapers and your Bastions, then also look in the couriers and the probes that are randomly scattered around maps. They also will potentially randomly spawn all random crafting materials from Big Arc. So like arc performance steel and arc resin. In terms of your Leaper Pulse unit, straightforward, Killing leapers. This is actually one of the more tricky ones because you need 10 of them, and generally leapers are only going to spawn 1 pulse unit per leaper. That's what I found anyway. Not too bad to kill once you know how to do it, but I always go for a little doorway, aggro the thing over, shoot the armor off the eye out the middle of the leaper, and then just give a good battering, even with light ammo, to the exposed core in the big eyeball, the big Cyclops eyeball. For the bastions, you can get up close and personal, do something a bit James Bond-like. There's all those kind of techniques you can go into. Personally, I just get a bit of height, just work the angle for the height, you know, and just dip in and out from view, hit it with a few shots, back out, hit it with a few shots. I like to use a hull cracker, but you can equally do this with an anvil or a ferro if you want to. It just take longer, or alternatively, lob some grenades. Even the cheap ones will do. And then finally, the shredder gyros. You know where this is going. There is rumour of them spreading across the other maps, but as it stands, they're only on Stellamontis. So there's no way around this. You are going to go to Stellamontis to get these shredder gyros. Generally, you're only going to get 1 gyro per shredder, and so that's 5 shredders you're going to have to kill, or dead shredders stumble across. I'll put a link in the comments to a video I made on how I went from being totally scared of shredders to sort of sussing them out for myself and then coming up with a bit of an approach to defeating shredders, if you want to sit back and enjoy that one for a while. Page 4. Dominant Dangers. We've already talked about the probes and the couriers spawning the materials from the large arc, but arc synthetic resin is a large arc material, so you can get it out of any of the bombardiers, bastions, those kind of things, or the couriers and the probes. Magnetic accelerators are the pink items, which I think you can get in a refiner. You can get them out of large arc, but if you need to loot for them, then the best place to go is probably going to be Stellamontis. There's a couple of different areas. You can either go to Assembly. If you spawn in near Assembly, that is a gold mine for these things. Alternatively, in the Business Lounge, I think it is, there's a trolley in there. I think that's almost a guaranteed spawn for magnetic accelerators. Rocketeer driver, 8 of. There's no way around it, folks. You're going to have to take out all the Rocketeers. So if you've got a fear of those, then it's time to face your fears. The easiest way to take out Rocketeers is 2 wolf packs. You know, it's got the 4 jets on the outside of the Rocketeer. You need to hit the same 2. So if it's facing you, like, throw it off to one side, or make sure you're throwing it up in the air, like in between you and the Rocketeer, so it's either getting hit the same 2 at the side or the same 2 at the front. There are other ways to take Rocketeers out. Loads of videos out there. However you want to do it, you need to concentrate on taking out the 2 thrusters, and then it'll go down 8 times. And then something that's probably going to be trickiest for a lot of you is going to be the Queen reactor. For a long time, I'd never touched a Queen or a Matriarch reactor, so this was a new one for me until I did this challenge. But they're actually not that bad. They're not that bad. I've already talked about just going to this event whenever it's on, even if you're on a different page, just make sure it's on because it's limited by time. But personally, for me, while it is on damn battlegrounds quite a lot, I found the one on Blue Gate to be the easiest. You aggro the thing over to the petrol station, and you just take cover underneath the petrol station, hug in nice and close to one of the petrol pumps or gas pumps, whatever your dialect is, and then shoot their arm off the legs. Just concentrate on that, and as soon as the armor drops, scurry in there, collect your Queen reactor, job's good in. You only need 3 of them. It's honestly not too bad, especially if you're in the PvE lobbies. Now, I'm not telling you how to play the game here, but I always like to do my bit when I'm taking Queen or Matriarch resources. I always go in there well armed to not just take off a bit of armor and get the goods out of it. I always try and do my bit to take out, you know, one of the bombardiers or the leapers, or do a good bit of damage on the Titan itself. Again, not telling you that's how you have to play, but if you're into sportsmanship and all that kind of stuff, it's up to you. And then the final page, page 5, Imposing Behemoths. Exodus modules, as its name would suggest, it's an Exodus item, so assembly area in Stellamontis is going to be a good place to go for this. Alternatively, the red lockers in the rocket assembly building on Spaceport sometimes has these, but I would focus on the assembly area in Stellamontis. Alternatively, I think this is another item where when you fight in the big arc, sometimes these can be looted off the big arc machines. The Geiger counter, 3 of. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is a bit of a pain in the bum. They're kind of a rare item. They're on Stellamontis, from what I gather. I don't think I've seen them anywhere else. You're just going to have to go into Stellamontis. I found 2 in fairly quick succession, and then it took me like 5-6 raids to get anywhere near assembly, or it might have been medical to get another Geiger counter. But Stellamontis, get yourself in there, get looting. Just remember, you can do a naked run. I don't really like the fact that this is a style of play for the game, but you can go in without any kit on you at all, and you will have a safe pocket. I was so bored and desperate by the time I was trying to get my last Geiger counter. It was the very last item I needed, so I just kept going into Stellamontis completely naked, and as soon as I got one, into the safe pocket it went, and off I went. Bombardier cells, we've already talked about the reliable spawns for Bombardiers being on Buried City and Spaceport. If you're looking to just kill the Bombardiers in the most efficient way possible, it's going to be wolf packs. 2 wolf packs will take it out. If you want to guarantee it takes it out, take out the 2 spotters first, and then all of the little bomblets are going to hit the Bombardier insta-kill. You can potentially get a few Bombardier cells out of 1 Bombardier as well, so you're not going to need to kill 8 Bombardiers. Don't worry about that. And depending on what order you've done this, the last item on the list is the Matriarch Reactors, 3 of. Similar deal to the Queen really for me. It's just finding a map and a location that you find comfortable and safe, going in to break the armor off the legs and then looting the legs. You are just going to have to be a bit bold with it, I'm afraid. Like, it's quite daunting, it's intimidating. There's like 1,000 large arc machines all around, all going off. Just in the middle of all the carnage, just do what you got to do. Be very focused that you need those legs. Get in there, get out. And that's it, folks. Project completed. Congratulations. Enjoy your energy weapons. Enjoy your guitar. If you found this useful, please stick a like on the video, and I will hopefully see you back here in the future. Hey, mate, Yeah. I just found what I've been looking for about 5 games in a row, and I just want to celebrate with you, so here you go.
What?
All I wanted was a Geiger counter, and I've got it, so take all these pinks.
You want something?
No, that's cool. Do you want to see a magic trick? See, I've given him these... Yeah, watch. Check this out.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed that. And that's all I'm bothered about.